whether being in a relationship that you don't want to be in, being in a position, job, professional, life that you're in that you don't want to be in, or you feel like it's not right, but you don't know what to do. I hope that those people hear this and realize that just being alive, having the gift of life, you take control, you make the next best decision for you, and just take that turtle step, right?
Mm.
Take that step, take that, and that will lead you down the path that is much better than what you have chosen right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. The beautiful soul I have with us today is Dr. Mitra Ayazifar. She is an ophthalmologist, and she has so many life lessons learned from her life experiences that we will share with you today. So, Dr. Ayazifar, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the channel.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's definitely an honor to be on your channel.
And it's an honor to know you and to hear a little bit about your story before. And I'm very excited for you to share the story because of the deep impact it's had on your life. And hopefully people will tune in deeply, because I know that that pause and investigating what really matters in life is something that our world really needs right now. So thank you for your willingness to share your story.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So I was born in Iran. I don't know if we want to go that far back, but I will, because it's a major part of who I am, right? And so I was born and raised in Iran until the start of high school. 1983 was like the second visit to the US, and that was when the Iran-Iraq war had happened. Before that had started, the airports had closed, and once it opened up, my parents, myself, my mom, and my brother, we came out. We came to the US to stay. And the main thing was, I think my parents were worried about my brother, who was only 16 at the time, being not drafted, but willingly be going to this religious war that was taking place. And so we came to the US and I started high school here. Of course, ninth grade, it's like, talk about being so different from everybody else. I spoke English, but it's not the same thing as everyday English. So that kind of set me apart and a little bit unique on the side of the classroom and everything. But I tried to fit in, right? I tried to. I think the first 2 years that my parents wanted us in a private school, private Catholic school, and so that's where I ended up, a Muslim and Catholic school. But they felt like that was a excellent level of education for us. And then eventually, in my family, having higher education, my dad was an engineer, civil engineer, and my mom had worked as a nurse in Iran for 20 years. So they always made sure that they would let us know. They kind of ingrained in us that higher education, graduate school, whatever it is, you want to make sure that that's how you get ahead in life, right? That's what they stressed. So I didn't decide that I was going to go to medical school. I mean, I worked hard. I got into UC Berkeley, and I thought that's good. I mean, I got into the UCs, but I didn't want to live close to home. And so UC Berkeley was the one that was furthest away. Nothing against my parents, but this is just, what I suppose teenagers like to do, or yeah, teenagers like to do. And so I went to Berkeley, and I think it was my third year of Berkeley where I decided, oh, maybe I should really start working towards medical school, because I think that's what I want to do. It was more a process of elimination. I knew I was going to do something else, but more a process of elimination. I don't like this. I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm not going to be, not going to be in finance. Maybe I should have been. And then that's what I chose. And yeah, ended up in after a couple of years of research, I ended up in medical school.
And when you're in medical school, something that you shared with me before I found fascinating was how you chose your specialty. Can you share how you chose your specialty?
Yes. So, the first 2 years, of course, you do all the classes, but then third year of medicine, we start doing rotations. And so the basic rotations that we had, I loved every single one. I was, I did psychiatry first. I definitely remember that. And I thought, oh my God, this is great. I get to help these people. They need me.
Yeah.
And I would talk to my mom, and my mom said, no, I think maybe think further because you're going to bring everything home with you. And wise woman, I probably, I would not be able to compartmentalize that. And so everything else, OBGYN, I think we did peds, we did internal medicine, we did general surgery. And I thought, gosh, I love all of these. There's always an aspect of each of them. But I knew that, I don't think I wanted to go into internal medicine simply because I knew that I would come home and wonder, maybe I should have ordered that on Mrs. So-and-so, or, maybe I'm sure that I would constantly be thinking about it. And so beginning of fourth year, that's when my rotation, it was like a 6-week rotation, I think. So the first 2 weeks was um, ophthalmology, pure luck. The second 2 weeks, I think, was neurosurgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last two was urology. And urology, I had a female attending, and I thought, oh my God, this is great! I can't believe she's getting to do this in a world where it's mostly dominated by men, really. In that case, and I thought, well, that's good. And eyes, I think two eyeballs. How much is there to know about two eyeballs? I think I can manage it, and I could have my own life. I could, have my clinic, long-term patient care, and also do surgeries. And of course, even, that field was very much male dominated. So I thought I can do it.
Yeah. And can you share
And,
why that's an important piece of your decision making?
in, I think, growing up, a lot of times as progressive as my parents were, there was always, okay, why, my brother would go and do things with his friends. And whenever I asked to do it, my parents would say, oh no, well, why not? You just let Babak do it. And they would say, well, he's a boy, you're a girl. And I thought, okay. So I felt like that's like my trigger point, right? That's almost like, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a difficult field to get into, but yes, I can do it. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just set that as a challenge to myself because I don't think that um, the if I identify as female, then why should society tell me that you can't do that because there aren't very many people there in that field. So maybe I can, set the path or open up the path for other people to go in there in that field. And I always felt like I did get into ophthalmology. That program only had 2 residents per year, right? Ophthalmology residents. So we were 6 of us. And the third years were backup for the first and second years who were on call. It was a first level 1 trauma center. So we got a lot of, globe ruptures, this and that through that program. And I realized that I am the first female that they've had in 8 years.
Wow.
Everybody else, male. And I was curious. It's like, I wonder why. And of course, this in my second year, I was married at the time, and so I became pregnant with our first child. And during my second year, and I thought, I don't know, it just felt like, oh my God, how am I going to break the news to them? It's like, this is a happy occasion. What do you mean break the news to them, right? I felt like I was putting a burden on my co-resident who, obviously he wasn't going to be pregnant. and there hadn't been a woman in the program, and I didn't want to ruin it for the people that were coming after me. It was not spoken, like I think we had a discussion about this. It was not anything that was said, but that's how these things are usually perpetuated, right? Like
Yeah.
you just don't ask because you feel like, you know, being a mother or motherhood or being pregnant is almost like an obstacle
Yeah.
for them. So, you know, I think with my daughter, I worked up until I had a grand rounds the day that I gave birth. So I was working, I was on call every third night. I worked up until it was a Saturday when we had grand rounds on the weekend, and I thought, oh my God, Iman, come on, just wanted the labor to happen. But of course, I gave my grand rounds presentation and then went into labor, and I only took 4 weeks off. And I have, you know, right now, now I look back and think back on it. It's like, who said that was okay?
Yeah.
You know, nobody told me come back in 4 weeks, but it's again, it's almost like a, I don't know. I guess it's not, I didn't want to put the burden on my co-resident who was going to take the backup call. And even though this was an amazing, amazing experience to have my first child, but of course, when we're in medicine, it's a little bit challenging, you know, enjoying both and being able to feel like you're great at both, being a mom, being a wife, being a, you know, a surgeon.
What I'm hearing is the weight of the world on your shoulders when it comes from I'm here for all women. So it's kind of like being a martyr,
Yeah.
right? A little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
and then also the shared stories, you know, I don't have children, but I hear and I just am amazed and I appreciate you sharing your experience with what it's like to have had a child in training and what, you know, if it's not, sometimes we'll get these contracts that might have a little bit more time, but how often do people go in early because they feel like people are going to think they're less than if they don't become superhuman?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand other cultures have a more humanistic type approach, but I'm just wondering, like, how can we change our perspective so that people can really, you know, experience that time with family and not feel so much pressure?
Gosh, I know that would be amazing. Of course, having a support system, you know, um as the female physicians are going through the process, having the whole village, really, it takes a village. So I mean, my mom was here with us from Iran, but still it's like she can't go and take call for me, she can't, you know, do the things. I mean, I really wanted to be there for my daughter when she was born. And I mean, growing up and being able to spend time with her, like I wanted to experience that, but at the same time I can't. I wish I had kept a journal. I wish I had kept a journal so that I knew what was going through my mind at that time.
Yeah.
um the one the one Kodak moment that comes to mind is that I think I was maybe 6 months along. Um, so 6 or 7 months, and somebody told me, "Oh, I'd heard about these belly masks that you can make. So you can make a plaster cast of your belly." And I remember I was backup call. I had already gone back, right? I mean, I was already working, but my first year was on call, and I had this plaster cast on my belly waiting to be set. And I get a phone call about a you know, emergency, like a trauma that's happening, that my first year resident needed me to go in. And I thought, I just looked down and all I can see is the plaster. I'm like, I'll be right there. So, you know, went off. But it's so many things that we tend to give up. I'm so thankful that I did have my kids. You know, Iman was during residency, and my son was the year, you know, first year after. Because if I hadn't then, I'm not sure that, you know, sometimes it's harder to have everything aligned. There's never really a good time. So I'm very blessed and thankful that happened, for sure.
Yeah, and your experience now, you know, it was wonderful. We met, and then of course, Dr. Whaley Gray had her life planning webinar, and you had the opportunity to speak on that, and that's such a valuable topic, I think, that often goes unexplored. And I often think, you know, in even in medicine, where when people are given challenging diagnosis or given these challenging topics, like I would say that this topic of how we can help people that are pregnant in residency, it causes conflict, right? It's a challenging topic. And in medicine,
Yeah.
it's often like it goes on, things are unsaid, and then that unsaid gets filled it in with our own expectations. And the expectations that you had when you came from Iran, you had, you know, I hear trying to fit in to that school. And oftentimes when I hear that we try to fit in, that's when like that perfectionism comes in. It's like, if I could just be this way, they'll like me. If I could just be this way, they'll like me. And throughout your life, you've experienced a lot of life lessons that have grounded you a lot. Would you like to share those life experiences?
Absolutely. So I think one of the most important ones, well, a lot of them, but this, when I was in about 8.5 years ago, went, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and total shock, because here I am, working out, doing all the things I'm supposed to do, taking care of my patients, and all of a sudden this diagnosis, which I'm so thankful that I was curious about some of the symptoms that I had, because it was diagnosed early, caught early enough. I still went through kind of a staging process where my surgeon had said, if we'll go into the surgery. I'm going to take out this ovary while we're there, frozen section. Make sure if it's negative, great. If it's not, then we're going to go further and further and further. And so if you come out and it's several hours later, just know that it was probably cancerous. And so I think it took them 4.5 hours or so. And I came into the room. I mean, I was waking up into the room. And I remember my oncologist and the surgeon coming in, and the surgical oncologist. And he came in and he had this look and he said, yeah, we had to it was cancer, and we did find some cells, in the washout. And I didn't hear anything else after that, because I was pretty damn sure once they take it out, I'm going to be fine. I'm not going to need any more treatment. I have to get back to work.
Yeah.
I can't take time off. Who's going to take care of all this stuff? So went through 18 sessions of chemo. And in between, I was trying to do as much as I could with like IV vitamin C, great. You're giving me this chemo to kill the cancer, but at the same time, my good cells have to kind of survive. And my brother, I have to give kudos to him. He's a big believer in IV vitamin C, but also the non-pharmaceutical ways of healing. And so he really would come with me to the sessions, like I think the first 6 sessions of chemo, he came with me, and then he was moving to Boston. So I was definitely very thankful for that. And I shared with you, it's amazing the people that come into your life, and the people that kind of slowly kind of go into the background. And I don't blame those friends or acquaintances. They just didn't know what to say. They didn't know that all I needed was for them to just be there. They didn't need to fix it. Nobody needed to fix it. But I just wanted them to be there. I had I had friends I had acquaintances who became friends, really became kind of higher up in my group, in my close village or close network, because without me asking them, they knew that I was not about to, I didn't feel like cooking or anything. I was just, trying to survive. And so they would bring whole meals for my family of four, you know, and they would just drop it by, say, okay, this is for today. We're going to bring something else tomorrow or the day after or something. And I really appreciated that because they didn't have to say it's going to be okay because they don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that is something that they could do. So I really, really, truly appreciated that.
First of all, I'm so grateful for those friends that came into your life. And I do appreciate that when people have a hard time knowing what to say, they often say nothing. And we have to just, you know, I suppose appreciate that they just don't know how to communicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also very grateful that you were self-aware and you advocated to explore what's going on with my body and have had that opportunity to heal. And I also have an aunt who has stage 4 cancer, and the same thing I asked her. I don't know what to say, and I want to be there. And so I asked her, "How can I best support you?" 3 words: just be here. I was like, "Just be here."
Exactly. Wow. You know, that is one reason where I am so, it's like I need to gain the tools so that I can help like my patients that come into my chair for, ophthalmology or whatnot, but somehow we end up connecting on other things, whether they're taking care of a, you know, critically ill family member or chronically ill or terminal ill, or they are going through um, cancer treatment or, anything. I want to be able to have the tools besides saying, I understand, kind of gain the knowledge or learn about what to do for them, right? And so I think there is going to be like an integrative palliative program that one of the EBS sisters is doing. Well, hopefully she'll start it because I can't, take time off to do that. But if this would be something that I can do remotely
Yeah.
or, virtually, I would. I'm definitely, that's on my list of to do. It's like, oh my God, so
Yeah.
many things.
And
Yeah.
it's natural, like in your experience, your ability to hold space for people. I think sometimes like the just you being you, right? And as a person that's very well trained, it always is like, I need more training to feel the credentials to hold space for the person.
Yeah.
And from what I see from an outside perspective, my if you just be you, like that's you're such a great healer.
Thank you. Well, sometimes I do joke about it, but I'm kind of serious too. It's like this cancer shit has to count for something, right?
No doubt.
I didn't know when it was first happening, and I did mention this before, but it is the most lonely place to be and I remember, my kids at the time, they were fifth grade and just the beginning of eighth grade. Iman hadn't been in eighth grade yet. But I would wake up in the middle of the night, and my thought was not, oh, you're gonna die. What you're afraid of? No, I mean that's a fact of life. All of us are going to die. We just don't know when. But my great worry was who is going to panicked. I'm telling you, panicked, and just who's going to take care of my kids? Who's going to decide? Help them choose their classes. Who's going to help? I do everything for them. I did everything for them. So for me, it's like me not being there. I was looking at it from their point of view and just mourning myself not being able to do the things that I wanted to do for them. Not dying, but just not being able to, take care of them.
Yeah.
Miss out on their graduation, miss out on their wedding, miss out on, all the milestones that they would be hitting. But every single day, as every single day passed, the only thing that I could do is, okay, just one more day, one more treatment, one more hour, just one day at a time. And I think time just has such a different meaning for me. And especially right in, when I had the diagnosis, because I still wake up every single day knowing that this is my bonus life,
Mm.
right? Why am I here and somebody else isn't? Why did I make it? At first it was more, well, I take care of people. What the hell is going on? I do everything I'm supposed to do. I take care of my patients more than what they even expect. So why me, right? And I went through the stages of grief, and then it got to a point where it's like, okay, so you're here every single morning. Thank you for another healthy day. And what am I supposed to do? Like, why am I here? What did you leave me here for?
Mm.
What am I supposed to do? What's my calling? And so it's not an answer. It's not one single answer. It's almost like as every single step that I take, all the plans that I make, all the intentional plans that I take for my life, the path just kind of opens up. It's not like I can look and know exactly where it is down the road, but I know that it's kind of leading me in the right direction.
And
Even here talking to you.
yes, and what I feel is openness, right? Because often when we're in that stage of grief or kind of a resentment of why me, which I've can share from my perspective of from my eating disorder of like just being angry. And when I was sitting on a hospital bed, I think there was denial, when I was told I wasn't going to make it, but it definitely gives like, okay, well, why am I still here? And your openness to explore and your intentions that you've created in your life to really consider how can I best serve? And even what you mentioned with, I connect with my patients and it's more than their eyeballs, right?
Right.
It's like, so why is Dr. Ayazifar here? It's like, well, there's an example and the gift of connection and the gift of you sharing your voice because there's going to be people that we for sure would hope that they get the opportunity to pause before life makes them pause and say, am I really doing what is in alignment with, I love how Martha Beck calls it their integrity, like the way of integrity.
Yeah.
How do you feel that out for yourself?
Oh, so I think I think that there have been a lot of the universe has been knocking for a long time, right? And I don't think I was ready to listen, to pause, and be curious. I definitely was not. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Because as I started looking back, doing a lot of reflection, I realized that in 2007, I had a scare with another type of cancer, like thyroid cancer, and we didn't know what it was, but um, I didn't even have time to process it or even think about I'm not going to make it, or it ended up being, adenoma but benign, and that didn't stop me. That just like stopped me for a short period of time, but not to reflect, but more to think, okay, so I'm going to arrange this for the kids. I'm going to arrange this for my parents. I'm going to arrange, that's it. And then back to work. And then a year after that, it was another knock, not for me, but my father had liposarcoma, which after a long process, he eventually passed away from. But I don't think I was processing that. It wasn't like my brother and I were constantly looking, okay, let's find a research or what is it? A study where perhaps he can be part of it and perhaps there will be a treatment for it. And I just didn't look at it or think about things or reflect on it the way I'm now looking back and wondering, ah, okay, it maybe slowed me down because it was so painful. His passing was so painful that I wasn't ready to think about what it meant to the whole family, what it meant to my mom, why did it happen? Oh, actually, my stage of being angry at the universe went on for a very long time. But I just was trying to survive. I was trying to, take the next step. He was the biggest, jolliest man with the biggest heart. His picture's right there. I just couldn't understand why he, who has been healthy all his life, has been taking care of himself. He's been the social one. He's been the one who told me, I remember, who told me, Mitra, even if you have a super supportive spouse or partner, you make sure, and this is a Middle Eastern man, right? He said, you make sure that you go into a field where you always have a plan to be able to support yourself, be able to have a good life, even if you don't have a partner in your life. He said this since I was in undergrad. I could never understand that's really odd, but that's what he told me. And really, it's always been in my ear, always been in my ear. I truly, truly appreciate that. And I know that he's watching, but when he passed, I was broken. I was trying to keep it together for my mom, who never asks for help, who is super independent, and, just trying to figure things out. But my diagnosis after, a few years after that really made me pause. And I think I needed to. I needed to pause and really think about who's in my life. Is this how I want to live? If I were to not have another healthy day tomorrow, if whenever the life ends, are these the people that I want around me? Is this what I want to do? And how do I want to connect with people? Do I want to? What's important? Is it the things that I have? Am I working? Do I want to work hard to amass things? Or is it more the lessons that I teach my kids? The examples that I set for them, the footprint that I set for them, the ripple effect. That's a big one. It's like, how am I going to affect the people that come in contact with me?
Mm.
What am I meant to do? What's my purpose? And I learned that, like I said, there's no single answer. It's a journey, right? You just start asking these questions, you make the next decision, you intentionally plan towards the direction that you think you want to go, and the universe will redirect you. It will eventually work out the way it's meant to, but you just need to take that first step and the next step, and then you'll be guided through that. That's what I believe.
Wow. And I'm also observing, everything that I feel is core to humanity and the things that our world is getting away from are things that you are just providing right now, right? What really matters. And we think about how did your background of being unique, I don't know, all of us are unique, but feeling like there was something different, right? And now I feel like all of that kind of prepared you to see, like, I need to lean into this. It's kind of counter-cultural, and I think our society all needs a shake. That's my opinion, right? I think, like, what are you all chasing? Like, I even had this morning, and not to be morbid, but I just like screamed at, like, don't people know we're all going to die? Like, don't you know? Because I get so frustrated. I'm like, why are people not all having existential crisis all the time? And somebody have on my channel is Greg Smith, and he just had a scare with pneumonia, who he shares on the channel, and he has osteogenesis imperfecta. He's outlived his life expectancy for a long time, has this health scare, and then we still go, how do we continue to ground ourselves and what really matters when, just like when you were pregnant, our external environment is trying to set the standard that maybe not be alignment with what our inner self is telling us?
I think if we don't, at least in my case, if we are not living in alignment with what we believe and what our path is, our way is, right? I think for me, I ignored it for the longest time because I was just trying to survive and, just make it to the next step before getting sick. I think that's the reason that I feel like we get sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't want anybody else to have to realize that they do need to pause. They do need to think about and kind of give themselves a shake and figure out without, something else happening in their life that will make them pause. That's why I'm like, I will shout out my experience. And if it connects with one person, if it connects with two people, if it makes them think about something that's happening in their life and a decision that they maybe are avoiding, something that the way that they're living that doesn't necessarily fulfill who they are, I hope that they take that time to think about it and really plan the way they want their days to go.
Mm-hmm. And I also think from that experience, I learned from my own journey, especially as I openly talk about the suicidal ideation. And I lost my ex-boyfriend. And I feel like what we had mentioned before is having lived with what you have, the experiences that you have, it has you see your perspective differently. And I find it challenging when the productivity measures still might be frivolous in context of what your experience has already been, right? You're like, well, I don't know about you, but my drama threshold is very low. Like if it's drama and it's just like, just leave me out of it. Like, just no. And the things that feel, when I step back, even like a year ago, I was getting caught in, again, that pressure of productivity based off of like quantity standards or whatever it is, right? And I was feeling sick. And I think, that's where I feel often when we hear documentaries and things like that, even in the way of integrity, it's how the body gives you the sirens. And with your training experience being so rigorous and the immune system probably being compromised, like it makes sense that it was playing in. And in Martha Beck's Wayfinder Life Course training, we talk about the body compass and measuring your decisions off of like how we're really getting connected in your body. And I feel, how often do we do that in our society? We are strongly a buffering society, so we can disassociate, whether it's substances, whether it's social media, whether it's my example, the eating disorder, or like, how can we ground ourselves and know that when we do, and I think this is something that, when people, even ourselves, feel resistance to leaning into what our purpose is. Sarah Seidelman talks about this on the channel. Like, she's like, oh, it can be kind of scary because once you realize what part of your purpose may be, like, it might be scary or to face that. I often think about life and what life truly means when it comes to, at some point this will end, and I do like it. I don't have the tools to navigate this. Well, then how can we develop the tools, to your point of saying, like, I'm trying to develop the tools. Okay, yes, it's very scary. What are my next steps to develop the tools to sit with this discomfort, so I can truly be present in this moment and make the best of it?
Yeah, I think that's realizing, and I don't know if I could have sped up the process or kind of, been a few years younger when I took this pause and started, thinking about, okay, well, is this really the way I want to practice medicine, or is this really the little hamster wheel that I want to be in, or do I want to design my own, little playground? And I don't know how I could have sped that up. I certainly would not go back. I mean, I would like to be younger, but I would not go back to being 25, 26, whatever years old, if I had to learn all these lessons all over again. I am grabbing hold of these life lessons, and I am not, it is hard won. So I would not exchange it for anything. I think looking at everything and looking at life, looking at my expectations of life, or what I would like to accomplish in the coming days, or the days on this earth, I I love the fact that I have been given this gift to look at it as, oh my God, I get to be have some power, empowered to choose at least what direction it may go. I don't know where it may end up, but the fact that I'm able to think about it and feel what it feels like when it's right for me, that's completely different than the way it felt previously. Whether it's work situation, whether it's my life partner situation, all of that, oh my God, so much more fulfilling.
Wow. And what really sticks out too is I have to keep going back to Martha Beck because so much, I don't know, you guys must be related. I don't know. But it's really, it seems like it reminds me of her journey and when she kind of came and she learned it through her process and she really had to go and do the hard work. And she went through illnesses herself to learn those deep, hard lessons that she now shares with others, just how I see you, with your mentoring others, sharing with others, coaching others by your presence and the empowerment. It's like you're in an internal, that's what coaching provides back is the empowerment from within. And when I was signing up for Martha Beck's program, the whole thing, I didn't know what I was signing up for. I just knew it felt right from the, I guess, the body compass, but it was to hold space for people. So when you said that, I'm like, gosh, you've already, you're manifesting this naturally, very organically through your life experience.
It's not, it's like recognizing, how this feels,
Yeah.
how this decision feels, how being employed in that particular practice felt. And it was just like,
Mm.
just, it was an inner compass or body compass. It was a sensation. It was like, I just think all of that is so related to universe or God or anything that you believe in, telling you, listen, this is not the, let's take that little road off to the side, because this is not
Yes.
the one.
You have
Yeah.
powerful energy too. It's that's what people we need to tune into. And when I was observing before, I think the missing piece, and I don't, with when we're processing through grief and things like that, I think sometimes that's we're close, but it's what we need, right? Needed at that point to be learning. This is what I needed. So when it comes from even my experience of, I don't regret the rate of healing I had from my ex-boyfriend, the rate of loneliness I experienced, because then learning the feeling of that. And when you're experiencing the loneliness, that really, it has been captured in so much of the pain that is being expressed. When we hear about what happened with COVID, people have been leaving alone, or you have an illness that's only your journey, and how I think that lesson also, if someone hears it and they're going through and they have cancer, or they're trying to understand how they can best be there for someone, I think what you really provided in that is like, just be there. Also, for that person that has cancer, of course, it's their own journey, but to know they're not alone. It's such a lonely journey, but you're not alone. And the community that found you during your time of need was the community that could really help you heal, as long as we stay open to that. And also, part of the things that you really help teach is when it comes to asking for help, when it comes to our kind of push back from our society that makes help feel like when we ask for it, it's a weakness. If we can change that narrative and say, when you ask for help, it's a strength, ask for help. And often people who help you, it's a gift to them also to be able to be there for you.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And that just based on how I'm raised, asking for help is a big deal. For me, it was like, man, this is a breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
To realize why should you go through it alone? It is actually a sign of strength to find the people that are going to help you and ask for help. There is nothing wrong with that. You do not win gold stars or medals or anything for going through it alone. You really don't. So again, so important to find your tribe, find your way, find your coach. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing.
And also, too, one thing I was thinking when you were saying about we don't know what's next, right? I just know this is the next best step. Another tool from Martha Beck is the turtle steps. And I think Atomic Habits has just like incremental changes. So sometimes when we set these lofty goals, we may not start because it seems like a lot. So if we can break it down to what's the next best step, and then the things that start to evolve may never have been something you envisioned when you were at a step way back here. If we think about the evolution of everything that's happening in our society, like we may not be able to predict what's out.
Mm-mm.
And just to put it out into the universe here so that the people listening can help you manifest what you're hoping to manifest for your life. Can you share what you would do if you could do anything?
I would love to take up more space, learn not to minimize, not to tone down. I mean, as far as the volume level, just appreciate that and share it. I don't know where this is going. I have no idea. I just know that I am supposed to share my story. I feel like, anybody that gets tired of it, they can tune it out. But there are definitely people at that point in my life, if, whether being in a relationship that you don't want to be in, being in a position, job, professional, life that you're in that you don't want to be in, or you feel like it's not right, but you don't know what to do. I hope that those people hear this and realize that just being alive, having the gift of life, you take control, you make the next best decision for you, and just take that turtle step, right?
Mm.
Take that step, take that, and that will lead you down the path that is much better than what you have chosen right now, or
Mm.
what you're in right now, what you may not have chosen. Um, I mean that's time is like priceless. I mean, time is a commodity that we don't have control over that. What you do within the time that you have, that's a different story, but we can't buy another, day alive, or we can't buy another healthy day. That's just something that happens. We can do the things that we can to control, nutrition, this, that, meditation, stress level, all of that. But really, ultimately, we don't control that. So better take advantage of this gift, and that's why I feel like there's an urgency almost, where it's like, okay, well, I want to do that. I want to connect with patients who are, have cancer, or have a loved one who has that, or need somebody, but they don't know how to reach out for help. I don't know what that means. I don't know how that's going to manifest itself as far as being an ophthalmologist and doing that. I just know that I try to do that with my patients as they come in, if they need it. If they need it and I feel it, and they share, which a lot of times they do. Like you said, it's a gift to me too, to be there and to kind of offer what wisdom or reflection I have at the time. But I hope that it's a gift to them too, for them.
I think your presence on this earth is a gift to everybody.
That's what I keep telling people.
Yes, and I would agree. I think those are the words of a true healer.
No, I hope so. I hope so. It feels good to say it, and I just hope that it, you know, makes a big difference to a lot of people.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I have no doubt. And you left a lot of great words of wisdom. Is there anything that you would like to leave as lasting words with the audience today?
Find your voice.
Mm,
You have one, find your voice and just work on that because you have one. Nobody else has to give it to you. Nobody else outside of you has to tell you it's okay for you to, do this or do that, or you did it well. Get to a point where you know what you're meant to do and be okay, be the only person that needs to validate
mm-hmm.
what you're doing because you already are invaluable to this world. Invaluable. But you have to believe it. Don't ask for anybody else to give you that feedback except you.
Mm-hmm. And I know from experience, the whole world can give it back. And if you do not give it to yourself, it will never be enough.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for blessing us with everything that you've said and with your presence, Mitra Ayazifar. And thank you for everyone that is here. Of course, if you would like to connect with this wonderful healer in front of us, can you share where they can best connect with you?
So my website actually for my practice will have, the link for everything, but you can reach me online, www.mitramd.com. I also have an Instagram and a Facebook page. Facebook is my first and last name, Mitra Ayazifar, and you'll find me there.
And we will be sure to put your links in the description. So thank you so much for everyone for being here. And until next time.